the snatch is the fastest and the most technical movement in the sport of weightlifting. And for a movement which takes all of 3 seconds to execute, there is a lot to unpack when it comes to mastering this lift. In order to master it, we need to get our priorities in order. We need each sequence of the movement to complement the next. If we, for example, have no idea how to set up properly, then there's no point getting assistance in your second or third pull. I want to make a snatch tutorial video here which segments the lift. First pull, second pull, third pull, while also at the same time tying each segment together. Because as someone that has not only competed at the Olympics, but also having coached lifters in over 28 countries now, helping master this exact movement, I'm going to sequence this entire lift for you, position by position, and show you how exactly each piece flows to the next. I do disclaim this will be a lot of information, and I don't expect you to take this all on, as this is not how you would teach a snatch to a beginner. This is somewhat of an in-depth and complete breakdown that I'm hoping that you may take a point or two here that perhaps you have overlooked or not considered before. That will then help you further develop your technique. And I'll leave specific timestamps in this video so you can visit which section of the lift is most relevant to improve your technique. Now let's get into it. Everything starts here in the setup. Grip first. You want to have the bar sit right in the crease of your hip when you stand tall. That there is your snatch grip width. Too narrow and you'll have the bar contact the upper thigh and you'll struggle to keep the bar close. Too wide and you'll contact above the hip crease and then put more stress on the elbows and wrists while overhead. And please use hook grip. Don't try to work your way around it. It is uncomfortable at first when you're starting weightlifting and everyone hates it, but as that weight gets heavier, it is a necessity. Just know if you watch lifters at the Olympic Games or the World Championships, just know that 100% of them use hook grip. Now feet roughly a hip width apart with a slight external rotation. Toes turned out just enough so the knees can track out of the way during the first pull. From there, shoulders slightly on top of the bar, sitting just over in front of it, never behind it. Then a nice flat back, proud chest, eyes looking out in front of you, not down at the bar or up at the ceiling. Your hips want to be at a reasonable height, and reasonable depends on the specific lifter. If you're someone with long femurs, for example, generally you'd want slightly higher hips. Shorter femurs, a little lower. Don't force someone else's start position that you've seen online into your leverages, which may be completely different. Your arms are to be long and completely relaxed with the elbows pointing out. And be sure to take the tension out of the arms. They are simply cables connecting you to the bar, nothing more. The arms do not pull in the first pull. And then of course, the last thing before you start your lift, take a big breath into your belly and brace your trunk like you're about to cop a hit, and then hold it. That brace trunk will then help you transmit that leg drive into the bar. After this is done, I want you to press your legs into the ground through the midfoot, just like a leg press. Now we transition into the first pull from the floor. And the first pull has one job, and it's not about speed, it's about control and direction in getting the bar to the knee while holding that position you have set. You start by pushing the floor away with the legs, pushing through that midfoot like I said. Not the toes, not the heels, the midfoot. And as you do that, the hips and shoulders should rise at a similar rate. The angle of your back stays roughly the same from the floor until the knee, with some considerations depending on the levers of the lifter. Again, with a taller lifter with longer legs may have those hips rising slightly faster in order to get those knees out of the way, where a shorter lifter can have the opposite while still maintaining balance. But for example, if your hips shoot up and your chest drops excessively, shifting that weight into the heels, you've essentially turned this lift into a deadlift and lost all leg drive and balance, and more than likely lost the lift already. Now, watch the bar from the side. It should track slightly back in towards you as you leave the floor. During this first pull, you do not want that bar looping out in front of the toes. The rule in weightlifting I want you to hold on to is this: the body moves around the bar does not move around the body. Now, two things we do not want here in the first pull is the bar looping out in front of the knees, which is what happens when you don't get the knees back far enough in order to clear a path for the bar. The second thing we don't want is the arms tensing up and taking the load, as then the legs can stop driving and the arms can take over early, because your legs are far stronger than your arms. Long arms, leg drive, bar close, all the way up to the knee. And quickly, because we were going position by position through this, if you want the full reference alongside it, I've put together a free positional playbook, which has every position in the snatch, the clean, and the jerk, with clear do's and don'ts for each one. It's essentially the companion to this video. It's free in the link at the top of the description. You can grab it, keep it open, and then check your positions as we go. Now, as the bar passes the knee here, we enter the next phase, which is the second pull. Now, this segment, being the second pull from the knee to hip, is where I see most lifts missed or made. Everything we established prior stays. Shoulders are still on top of the bar, arms still long and relaxed, balance still through the midfoot, and as the bar is clearing the knees, the shins ideally become vertical here, and your lats are engaged in order to keep the bar close beyond the knee. Think about the bar brushing up the thigh, not getting away from it. So the second pull here being knee to hip, the cues don't necessarily change all that much. You keep pushing with the legs through the midfoot. You do not pull the bar up or in excessively with the arms. You do not throw your shoulders back behind the bar early, as this is a loss of patience. You drive, stay on top of the bar, and keep the bar close until we reach the power position at the hip. Now, as the bar reaches that hip crease, the shoulders are still on top of the bar, ready for that violent extension, where the torso will be vertical or ever so slightly over at contact. And as we go from the knee to the hip, we'll notice that the knees begin to scoop under the bar somewhat to find that power position. That is what we call the double knee bend, and should happen on its own as a result of good positioning and continued vertical leg drive. Not necessarily something that we consciously force. I have a full breakdown on the topic of the double knee bend. I'll link it at the top of the description. Now, the mistakes to watch for here. The first is a gap opening between the bar and the legs, where the bar then drifts forward away from you. And the second is the opposite, where you use the arms early again in order to row the bar into the hips for a forced and early contact. And this is what people get wrong about contact with the bar. You don't need to impregnate the bar with the hips. If your positions are in check and the bar stays close, contact will happen on its own, as an outcome, not as something you consciously aim for. Chasing a loud bang of the hips is usually a sign that you've lost position earlier or you're compensating for something earlier in the pull. And as you reach the power position, two more things. Don't let the knees extend too early or too far, and don't let your balance shift off the midfoot. Lose either one of these and that vertical leg drive you are about to produce an extension is going to go in the wrong direction. Now, from the power position, this is the exciting bit that everyone thinks of when they think of the snatch, the explosive part. And it is really only two things happening in a really fast sequence here. First, the drive, an explosive vertical finish of the legs. You finish that drive into a full triple extension, being the ankles, the knees, and the hips all extending at the same time, directing force straight up through the bar. We want that force to send the bar up vertically, not a violent throw of the hips, which is going to create horizontal displacement of the bar. We want to minimize that and maximize that vertical force in order to get more bar height. Now, the instant this violent extension completes is the moment you transition to aggressively pull under the bar. And this seamless transition between the legs and the arms is where a lot of efficiency and inefficiency can show. Your elbows come up and out, high and to the sides, and you aggressively pull down under the bar, then punch up into a strong locked out position overhead. Consider the elbows as arrows. They will dictate where the bar is heading. And as they head up and you pull under, you will then indirectly maintain the bar's vertical velocity. Note that this is done by pulling you under, not pulling the bar up with the arms. What you do not want is pulling the bar up with the arms here, or a complete neglect of extension in order to dive under the bar recklessly. The bigger the gap between the highest point the bar reaches and the point where you catch and control the bar, the less efficient the lift and more of a bar crash you're going to experience. Finish that extension, pull under aggressively, meet the bar, and minimize that gap and potential bar crash. And of course, through all of it, the bar stays close to the body. And if you did the setup, the first pull and the second pull well, then keeping the bar close shouldn't be all that difficult. A fast, tight turnover is going to be more seamless when your positions are in check. Now, you receive the bar in the bottom of that catch position, arms locked, bar stacked over the middle of the foot, bar sitting just behind the ears, actively pressing up against the bar. Then you stand it up, with control, which means don't rush that stand up if the bar isn't fully under control yet. I see way too many mislifts that should be makes due to someone being impatient in this catch position and standing up before the bar has been stabilized. Now, to bring this all together, to take a step back and look at the whole thing, the setup is made for you to hold that position in the first pull. The first pull is about positioning over speed. The second pull is about continuing that constant acceleration into the power position while keeping the bar close. And that power position leads to a violent and fast extension with an aggressive pull under the bar. This is why fixing a snatch doesn't necessarily mean just working at that specific point where you lose the lift, but it could certainly be the positions before it as well. So go back through your own lift with that lens and check for yourself these positions as you go. The positional playbook below is a quick way to do that. It's free in the description and it will show every single position across all 3 lifts, including the clean and the jerk. And if you found these types of videos helpful, please let me know in the comments below and I'll be more than happy to make another video just like this on another specific lift. And also, if you want to go deeper into your weightlifting journey, YouTube has suggested 2 videos here which will help you further.